Welcome to the Monday Warrior podcast. So we all dread Mondays. It's the end of the weekend, the start of a new work week, and essentially the rebirth of the 5-day minimum grind cycle. We've all heard of the term weekend warrior, where we suffer for the week to live it up for the weekends. But what if we didn't have to suffer for the week just to enjoy those 2 days off? What if we could actually enjoy more than 2 of the 7 days of the week? What if we could not only take back Monday, but also Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday? The Monday Warrior podcast aims to challenge your opinions and attitude on the workweek cycle, to look at the new week with opportunity for improvement rather than inevitable dread, and to provide you with the necessary motivation to harden your mentality and to 180 your perspective on your current circumstances. Because at the end of the day, it's your life, and no matter how you frame it, you technically don't have to do anything. You get to. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the 10th episode of the Monday Warrior podcast. It's been a little while, I know, since I recorded episode 9, but here we are, and I'm really trying to get on a more consistent schedule with this, take a little bit of my own advice here. So this episode is titled Waking Up with a Sense of Purpose, and I really just want to focus on how a lot of us, including myself, roll out of bed some days and we just feel so lost. Like, we have no drive to tackle the day, we have no drive to tend to any of our responsibilities, because I think in the backdrop there's just a big, what's the whole point of it all? We're not goal chasing, we're not tackling something, and we're just a little confused. And there's always going to be good days and bad days, but I think the biggest part about this is that we're not necessarily goal setting. So goal setting and personal achievement is one of the healthiest things that you can do for yourself. I believe that we're creators. We're inherent creators, whether it's creating technology, programs, physical materials, and even children, right? Even just like breeding children. We're creators. We're creating things, and we strive for accomplishment. We strive for that sense of purpose. I think it was Dale Carnegie, in his book How to Win Friends and Influence People. He said that the biggest thing, and really the main objective of a human being's life, is to feel a sense of importance. And that's developed over society because we are social creatures and we want to feel important. We want to feel some kind of authority over ourselves or potential over other people, but that's what's really going to give us that bleeding edge in our own mindsets to keep pushing forward. And it comes down to goal setting still, and it comes around to personal achievement. We strive to push our energy into different fields, and at the end of the day, it's all part of the human existence. We're always creating things, whether it's creating new tools to use to better ourselves, to better our life circumstances, our situational and environmental circumstances, or we're creating something for our own personal enjoyment, for our mental well-being. And that mental well-being translates also to that personal drive and that motivation you feel when you get out of bed in the morning. Do you roll out of bed with a sense of purpose, or do you roll out of bed just confused, tired, and you don't really know what you're supposed to do? So you just you scroll mindlessly, whether it's through social media or just work emails, and you're not really conscious of it all. And I'm not saying that you need to find your life's calling, because there's no one way to really live your life. It's however you see fit, and it's what's going to make you happy at the end of the day. But you do need to try harder at the things that you do. So even just your 9-to-5 job, just take that for example. You roll out of bed, you're going through work emails, you're responding to chats, whatever the case may be, especially in a work from home day era when we're not actually physically in the office, so we may not feel as intrinsically motivated to, be on task all the time. Because we're on our own clocks now, and in a way we all feel like we're our own bosses in some shape or form. But if you approach your work with a sense that, oh, this is a means to an end, there's no point about this, I'm working for someone else, I don't even care about the company's objectives, I find no value in doing the work that I do, then you're obviously not going to wake up with a sense of purpose. But even just framing it differently, framing it as not just a task, but as a personal leaderboard, for example, of doing better yourself, of hitting your own company benchmarks, your own employee benchmarks. It spices things up a bit, and it makes things exciting. And it comes down to goal setting and personal achievement. So it's not so much about the value of the task, of the inherent value of the task at hand, whether you are finding your life's purpose through your 9-to-5 or your regular day job, but more so about the value that you give it. Treating things like a game, treating things like a scoreboard, like a personal leaderboard, and refusing to drag your own name through the mud just because you don't care that much. It's like doing the bare minimum versus going above and beyond to achieve what you know is in your capability, And rather than just dogging something, going all in all the time. Because the thing is, when you go all in work, even if you don't care about the company objectives, whatever the case may be, even if you don't care about the job and it's not really your life's calling, that motivation and that personal drive is going to carry over to everything else in your life, your diet, your fitness, because motivation is momentum, and achievement is momentum. And the more checks you accomplish in your day, the more things you box off, you check off, the more momentum you have and the more willing you are to tackle new objectives and to approach other frames, other aspects of your life with that same fire and hunger that you were going for earlier. So when you wake up and the first thing you see, you're looking at your work emails and you just don't care and you're trying to put in the bare minimum effort, I promise you're going to put the bare minimum in everything else in your day. And this is why a lot of people advocate for working out right when you wake up, because it sets the tone. It sets the tone of push, of personal drive, of waking up with a sense of purpose, aside from all the endorphins and high you get from the workout. I'm talking about expending the personal energy into the workout itself, the emotional and physical energy, because that's going to roll over to everything else. And that's what people say, if there's everything else in the day goes wrong, you check that box of working out in the morning, and it's just much more likely that you're going to tackle everything else in that day with that much more ferocity. So that extra effort expended is what's really going to make the difference between feeling motivated to tackle your goals versus just coasting just to get by, just to do the bare minimum and everything. And you do this one day, and the next day you're going to feel less motivated or the same amount of motivation, which is already the bare minimum. And day by day goes by, week by week goes by month happens, and you've achieved nothing except hitting the bare minimum. And there's no, that human value of feeling that sense of importance, of feeling that sense of urgency to create that personal achievement. It'll never be checked off because each day is just passing you by. Day's running you, you're not running it. And on the flip side of this coin, like I said, you don't need to find your life's calling, but waking up and going at it, putting everything you have, giving it everything you have from one task to another, it gets easier throughout the day. It's the first task that's going to be the hardest to expend all your energy. I'm not saying this is going to be easy. It's not a cakewalk. But doing one thing right helps doing the second thing right, helps doing the third thing right, fourth thing right, fifth thing right, until your whole day is just a big fucking check, man. And then the next day is a fucking check because you don't want to dog the standard that you've set for yourself, whether it's Monday or the first day of the month or any day. You don't want to go back to how you were feeling before. And that's what I mean by motivation is momentum. And that's what I mean by waking up with a sense of purpose, with a sense of drive that you may not have had before. It's not waiting for the perfect storm of emotion opportunity to come to go after something, to try harder. It's about creating that opportunity yourself by trying harder in the first place. It's a feedback loop that feeds into itself over and over again. The momentum builds on itself over and over again. And that's how you wake up with a sense of purpose. You can't wait for life to give you gifts. You have to make that shit happen yourself. Because that's what's going to ensure or give you a better fighting chance for the same thing the next day to come. And that's on waking up with a sense of purpose. So the quote of this week's episode it's a personal quote, and I'm sure a lot of other people have said it before, but it's something that I wrote down because in my head, this is exactly what I need to hear on that day. And it's, if you bet on yourself, you'll always see it through. And this ties back to what I was just saying. Stop waiting for external variables to push your motivation forward. Stop waiting for other people. Stop waiting on other people to push your motivation forward, for other circumstances. Stop waiting for good news from an external variable. Start creating that shit yourself. Bet on yourself. Bet on your own abilities to push something new into existence, to try a bit harder. Bet on yourself to break the sluggishness of demotivation. Wake up, work out earlier in the morning. Wake up earlier one day. If you usually wake up at 9 a.m., try waking up at 6 a.m. Try to shift the tone around so you can set a new tone. In order to create, you must first destroy. And you're destroying your old previous lifestyle this time. Like I said, human beings, we're inherent creators. Whether it's creating programs, technology, or just a better path and a better day and a better life for ourselves, we are creators. But none of this is possible if you don't bet on yourself, on your ability to be a creator and to make things happen for yourself. It only comes into reality when you decide to take that first step. So switch your schedule up a bit, try something new, and be unorthodox with your methods. Don't be afraid to try new, strange methods. They say if you want something you never had before, you have to be willing to do things that you've never done before. And sometimes the greatest solutions come out of the weirdest actions and catalysts. But one thing I think we can say for certain is that your current schedule, patterns, and routines have not been working. So anything new is a step in the right direction. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Monday Warrior. Thank you for your time and support, and be sure to keep an eye out for next week's episode that will be available for listening on Sunday night. The clock is ticking. Start and continue chasing the life that you want to live this week, the week after, and so forth. Stay driven, never settle, and never give up. Never forget that the shackles of restriction and limitation start and end in our minds. We are free the moment we and we alone tell ourselves so. Now go out there and tear this week to shreds.